The star system of Helios was quiet, almost peaceful, from a distance. Its 3 suns bathed the planets in warm golden light, and its orbital rings shimmered like silver threads. But up close, the system was a battlefield. Fires burned among shattered ships, and smoke and debris floated endlessly in the vacuum of space. The Allied fleet, comprised of several small species, who had joined forces to resist the growing alien armada, was scattered and battered. "Commander," Lyra floated in the command chamber of her flagship. The Resolute, staring at the holographic display of the enemy's forces. The numbers were overwhelming. Thousands of alien warships surrounded them in tight formations. Their weapon systems glowed ominously, and their ships moved with a precision that suggested experience and cruelty. Lyra clenched her fists. She had fought countless battles before, but nothing like this. The Allied fleet was not only outnumbered, they were outmatched. Their shields were weak, their weapons outdated, and their pilots exhausted. Many ships had already been destroyed, leaving only ragged remnants to face the enemy's onslaught. "Commander, the enemy is moving into attack positions," reported Lieutenant Vero, his voice steady but tight. He was a small, blue-skinned alien from the planet Sorel, one of Lyra's closest allies. "Our front line will not hold long." Lyra took a deep breath. "I know," she said quietly, almost to herself. Then, turning to her crew, she raised her voice. "Everyone listen to me. We are not here to surrender. We fight not because we have no fear, but because we know what must be done. Today, we stand against impossible odds, and we do it with courage. If we fall with honor. If we survive, the universe will remember our bravery." The crew straightened, inspired by her words, though fear still lingered in their eyes. Fear was natural, but courage that could not be taken away. Outside, the first wave of alien ships surged forward. Energy beams cut across space, hitting Allied vessels with deadly accuracy. Explosions lit the void, and the roar of battle filled the comms channels. Lyra's ship shook violently as a nearby cruiser exploded. "Damage report," she shouted. "Multiple hull breaches on the port side," Vero called. "Shields at 40%. We're holding, but only barely." Lyra's mind raced. They could not hold this line for long. She looked at the map, trying to find any advantage. Helios' orbital debris fields offered some cover, but the aliens had mapped every possible escape route. Every move seemed to lead to death, and yet Lyra refused to give up. She activated the ship-wide comms. "All units, form a defensive wedge and protect the civilians on Ceres 3. Do not let the enemy break through. Fight for your home, for your families, for your people." Her words spread like fire. Allied ships adjusted positions, forming a protective formation around the most vulnerable planets. Smaller craft darted between larger ships, trying to disrupt the alien advance. Even in the chaos, moments of heroism appeared. A young Sorel pilot, barely 20 cycles old, rammed his fighter into an alien frigate, creating a temporary opening for Allied ships to escape. Another crew used a gravity surge to fling debris into the enemy's path, knocking several ships off course. Lyra's eyes scanned the battlefield, noting each action. Every act of courage mattered, no matter how small. She could see the spirit of her fleet. Though battered, they refused to surrender. But the enemy pressed on. Their warships moved like predators, efficient and merciless. Energy beams sliced through the void, and explosions tore ships apart. The Allied fleet's losses mounted. Lyra felt a pang of despair. They could not last much longer. A sudden flash lit the darkness. One of the larger alien cruisers had fired a massive pulse weapon, cutting through several Allied ships at once. The sound in the comms channel was deafening. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and smoke filled the corridors. "Brace for impact," Lyra shouted, gripping the railing. Her ship rocked violently as the pulse hit. Systems failed. She fought to keep control. Every second counted. If they fell now, there would be no hope. Through the chaos, a single thought burned in her mind. They needed help. But communications with Earth had gone silent. There had been no response to their calls for reinforcements. For the first time, the reality of their situation hit Hertha. Allies were alone, yet she refused to let fear rule her. She moved to the tactical console, plotting a desperate maneuver. If they could lure the enemy closer to the asteroid belt, they might gain some advantage. The aliens had greater numbers. They were not prepared for debris-filled terrain. Set a course for the outer belt, she ordered. Maximum speed, evasive maneuvers. We'll make them pay for every ship they destroy. Vero hesitated. It's risky, Commander. We might lose more than we save. Lyra's eyes met his. We have no choice. Every ship we save gives our people a chance, and every chance is worth fighting for. The Resolute and the remaining Allied ships surged toward the asteroid belt. The enemy pursued, their formation tight, confident in their superior numbers. As the battle moved into the belt, the landscape shifted. Asteroids loomed like giant sentinels, and ships had to weave between them. The aliens struggled to maintain formation, and the Allies used every maneuver they had to strike back. For a brief moment, the tide seemed to turn. An alien destroyer collided with an asteroid, its hull cracking, forcing it to retreat. Another alien ship miscalculated a jump and became trapped. Lyra's fleet seized the opportunity, targeting vulnerable ships and buying precious time, yet the cost was high. Ships were still lost, and the Allied fleet was thinning. Lyra felt exhaustion gnawing at her, but she refused to stop. She moved from station to station, coordinating attacks, directing ships to safety, and encouraging crews. Every voice she heard, every act of courage, strengthened her resolve. Finally, Lyra paused and looked toward the edge of the battlefield. Beyond the chaos, past the dying sun, she scanned the void, hoping for a miracle sign of reinforcements. Her heart clenched when nothing appeared. The aliens closed in. The Allies were cornered. It seemed the end was near. Lyra's thoughts briefly went to her home planet, to her family, and to the countless civilians depending on them. Fear threatened to take hold, but she pushed it back. Hold the line, she shouted. We fight together. No surrender. Our courage is our weapon, and our spirit is unbreakable. Around her, ships responded with renewed determination. Pilots dodged energy blasts. Crews repaired damaged systems at incredible speed, and every ally fought with everything they had. Though they were surrounded, their courage burned brighter than ever. Lyra knew they could not last forever. But even if they fell, she wanted the universe to remember that the allied species of Kelios had fought with honor. They had faced impossible odds and had not wavered. And in that moment, she silently vowed that they would not die forgotten. As the alien armada prepared for another strike, Lyra's eyes scanned the darkness one last time. She knew deep in her heart that help would have to come from somewhere. Somewhere beyond this system, someone strong, fearless, unpredictable, would need to arrive and fast. But for now, they fought. And that fighting, that refusal to surrender, was all they had. The stars were silent witnesses to the courage of the few, the bravery of the desperate, and the hope that even in the darkest moments, light could still shine, and far beyond Kelios, in the quiet of deep space. Engines hummed, and lights blinked across the void, an unknown force preparing to enter the battle. A force whose arrival would change everything. Far beyond the Kelios system, the void of space was calm, silent, and dark. It stretched endlessly, unbroken except by the tiny glimmers of distant stars. Within that darkness, a fleet unlike any other drifted into position. These were Earth's most advanced warships, massive, sleek, and equipped with technologies that no alien armada could have predicted. Admiral Marcus Carter stood on the bridge of the flagship Valiant, eyes scanning the tactical hologram that hovered before him. Every ship, every pilot, and every weapon was accounted for. His fleet was ready. "Status report," Carter said, his voice calm and commanding. "Lieutenant Commander, sorry." A human engineer with quick reflexes and a sharp mind stepped forward. "All ships are at optimal readiness, Admiral. Energy reserves are full, weapons calibrated, and cloaking arrays operational. Our approach to Kelios is undetected." Carter nodded. "Good. The Allies are holding the line, but they won't survive much longer. We enter the system in 5 minutes. Everyone must be precise. Every action counts. He looked around the bridge at his crew, humans from countless worlds, each trained to act under pressure, ready to face danger without hesitation. Carter's eyes settled on his tactical officer, Captain Lien. Once we jump in, deploy decoy maneuvers, and break their formation. Make them think they face a larger fleet than we really have. We cannot let them adapt too quickly, as Admiral Lien replied. The fleet's warp engines hummed, creating a faint vibration beneath their feet. They had spent years preparing for this moment, training, planning, and improving. Every system, every pilot, every strategy had been tested. And now, the time had come. In a sudden motion, a fleet slipped from the shadows of deep space, appearing within the Helios system. Their arrival was sudden, striking. Aliens in the forward lines barely had time to react. Energy beams that had been raining down on the Allies suddenly faced counterfire from weapons. Far stronger than any alien design, open fire, Carter commanded. The Valiant's main cannons released beams of concentrated energy that tore through enemy ships. Smaller craft darted around like lightning, striking vulnerable points on alien warships. Lyra, aboard the Resolute, froze as she watched the battle change before her eyes. From nowhere, humans appeared, their ships unlike anything she had seen. They moved with precision, striking the enemy with unerring accuracy. Her crew's morale soared instantly. What? Who are they? One pilot asked, eyes wide. They are from Earth, Lyra said, her voice filled with awe. I've heard stories, but I never thought we'd see them here. The humans struck methodically. Using holographic decoys, they created the illusion of twice their numbers, confusing the alien commanders. Rapid warp jumps allowed human ships to appear and disappear across the battlefield, hitting alien supply lines and command ships. Explosions lit the void as alien formations fell apart. Focus on the cruisers closest to the civilians, Carter ordered. We cannot allow them to breach the planetary defenses. Lyra relayed his orders to the remaining Allied ships. It was strange at first humans were directing them, but there was no question. Their presence gave hope, and hope made the Allies fight harder. The aliens, caught off guard, scrambled to reorganize. Their weapons were powerful, but their strategy could not adapt quickly enough. They were facing a force that anticipated their moves, reacted faster than they could predict, and struck with precision that was almost impossible to counter. Carter watched the battlefield calmly. Though his mind was a whirlwind of calculations, he knew every move mattered. A single miscalculation could cost thousands of lives. Yet, he also knew that this was the moment humanity had prepared for, the chance to show that Earth's fleet could tip the balance in the universe. Deploy the interceptors, Carter shouted. Hundreds of small, agile fighters launched from the Valiant and other capital ships. They weaved between alien cruisers, dodging beams and missiles, striking weak points with explosive charges. Alien ships went down in fireballs, and survivors fled in disarray. Lyra could hardly believe her eyes. She had seen brave acts before, but humans fought differently. They were fearless, inventive, and unpredictable. Every attack seemed to anticipate the aliens' reactions. Every maneuver was calculated, yet daring. She felt a surge of admiration for them. Commander Vero said, "Their tactics. They are unlike anything we've seen." It's incredible, Lyra nodded. Yes, and they are saving us. Despite their overwhelming strength, the humans did not waste a single life. Carter's fleet moved carefully, protecting Allied ships from direct destruction. When a cruiser was about to be overwhelmed, a human ship would intercept. Drawing fire and giving the Allies a chance to escape, they were precise, efficient, and fearless. In the middle of the battle, daring human captain, Lieutenant Rhea, piloted her small craft directly into the path of an alien supercruiser. She fired a sequence of explosive charges that disabled its engines, sending it careening into a nearby asteroid. Her ship was damaged, but she survived, and her act saved dozens of Allied vessels. Lyra's crew cheered. Even in the heat of battle, courage was contagious. The Allied pilots moved faster, fought harder, regained some of the confidence they had lost. The tide of the battle began to turn. Alien ships that had been advancing with absolute confidence now hesitated. Their formation faltered, and confusion spread among their commanders. The humans pressed the advantage. Using their technology to exploit weaknesses no one else could see, Carter noticed a cluster of alien capital ships attempting a flanking maneuver. "Divert interceptors. Break their formation now," he ordered. His crew executed flawlessly, and the human fighters struck the flank with precision. The alien ships collided, firing upon one another in panic. Lyra watched in awe as the humans continued their assault. Combining intelligence, courage, and advanced technology, for the first time in hours, she felt a spark of hope. Perhaps victory was possible. Even as the battle raged, Carter remained calm. He understood that the fight was far from over. The aliens were strong, clever, and persistent. But humans had something no one else did: the ability to adapt, to innovate, and to inspire courage in others. "Commander Lyra," he said via comms, establishing a secure channel, "we are here to assist you. Focus on protecting the civilians. Follow our maneuvers, and we will guide your fleet through the danger. Together, we can push the aliens back." Lyra's voice trembled with relief. "Thank you. We've been fighting alone for too long. With your help, maybe we can survive this." Carter allowed himself a small smile. Survive is the first step. Victory is the next. The Allied fleet, now bolstered by humans, launched a counteroffensive. They struck at alien supply ships, destroyed forward command centers, and forced the armada to retreat in scattered waves. Lyra's crew fought alongside the humans, learning their tactics, trusting their decisions, and regaining hope that had been almost lost. As the battle continued, the scale of human coordination became clear. Every ship, every fighter, every weapon was used with purpose. They were not just strong, they were smart, fearless, and united. And their arrival had changed the course of the battle entirely. Lyra floated in the command chamber, eyes fixed on the holographic display. The aliens were no longer an unstoppable wave. They were faltering, retreating, confused, and desperate. And all because humans had arrived. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, she allowed herself to breathe. She turned to her crew. "See that? This is what hope looks like. These humans, they are unlike anyone we've ever faced, and they are fighting for us, alongside us." The crew smiled, cheered, and focused on the fight with renewed energy. Even small victories now seemed possible. Even in the darkness, light had arrived. Carter's voice came again through the comms, steady and commanding. "Lyra, your fleet is holding. Keep your lines together. We will continue pushing the enemy back. But remember, this is only the beginning. The aliens will adapt. We must stay unpredictable, fast, and united." Aran nodded. "Understood, Admiral. And thank you for showing us what humans can do." Carter allowed himself a brief moment of pride. The universe had underestimated humans for too long. Today, their courage, intelligence, and relentless determination had turned the tide. And soon, every corner of the galaxy would know that. Earth's fleet was a force that could not be ignored. The stars of Helios shimmered once more, this time reflecting explosions of hope, courage, and an unstoppable will. For the Allies, salvation had arrived, and for the humans, a new chapter of their legacy in the galaxy had begun. The battlefield above Helios had transformed completely. Where once the Allied fleet had fought desperately for survival, now hope burned brightly in every ship, every pilot, every crew member. The arrival of Earth's fleet had turned the tide, and the enemy, once confident and ruthless, was now on the defensive. "Commander." Lyra floated in the command chamber of the Resolute, her hands gripping the railing as she watched the unfolding chaos. Alien ships were retreating, some spinning out of control, others forced into collision courses with debris or each other. Every successful maneuver by the human fleet was precise, deadly, and coordinated, leaving the aliens bewildered. They're holding their formation, Barrow said, eyes wide as he pointed at the display. But they're retreating. Slowly, but definitely. Lyra nodded. We must not let them recover. If they regroup, they will come back stronger. Every strike we make now must count. The humans had already anticipated her thoughts. Admiral Carter's fleet had begun a systematic push, targeting alien supply lines and command ships. The Valiant led the charge, weaving between asteroid fields and enemy fire, while smaller human vessels moved like shadows, striking at weak points. Carter's voice came through the secure comms. Lyra, focus your fleet on the central group. We'll handle the flanks. Timing is critical. Strike together, and we can force them out of the system entirely. Lyra transmitted the orders to her fleet. Allied ships shifted into position, coordinating with humans for the first time in the battle. Pilots who had been afraid minutes before now moved with confidence, executing maneuvers they had only dreamed of attempting. At the heart of the battle, human ingenuity shone like a beacon. Ships used synchronized warp jumps to appear behind alien cruisers, firing powerful plasma charges that tore through shields and hulls. Holographic decoys continued to confuse enemy sensors, making it appear as though the human fleet was twice as large as it really was. A sudden explosion shook the Resolute. An alien destroyer had fired at them, its energy beams slicing through the void. Lyra gritted her teeth. Divert all shields to the port side. Return fire and focus on that cruiser. The Allied pilots obeyed, firing everything they had. Explosions rippled through the alien ship, and in moments it was reduced to debris. Lyra allowed herself a brief smile. Victory felt close, but she knew the battle was not over yet. In the midst of the chaos, humans and allies began executing daring maneuvers together. Small Sorel fighters darted in and out, coordinated perfectly with human interceptors. Energy beams and missiles struck alien ships from multiple directions simultaneously, overwhelming their defenses. Look at them, Vero exclaimed. They are unstoppable. Lyra nodded, feeling pride swell in her chest. It's not just their technology, it's their courage. They fight like nothing else matters. And in a way it doesn't. Every act they take gives us a chance to survive. Amid the battle, a human captain named Rhea performed a daring act that would become legendary. Her fighter, small and agile, dove directly into a cluster of alien ships. Using a series of precise charges, she disabled the engines of 3 enemy cruisers, causing them to collide. Her ship was damaged in the process, but she survived, and the effect was devastating. Scores of alien vessels were destroyed or forced to retreat. Lyra watched with awe. Such courage. They truly are fearless. Even as the Allies pressed forward, the aliens attempted a desperate counterattack. A massive alien warship, its hull bristling with weapons, launched a series of energy missiles directly at the Allied command center, shields at 50%. One of Lyra's officers shouted, "Divert all power to the forward shield." Lyra commanded. Human ships, intercept those missiles. In perfect coordination, human interceptors raced toward the incoming attack, their weapons blazing. Explosions erupted in space as the missiles were destroyed mid-flight. The massive alien cruiser, deprived of its attack, found itself exposed. Human capital ships targeted it with concentrated fire tearing through its shields and hull. With a final, deafening explosion, the ship was gone. Lyra exhaled, feeling the tide turn even more decisively. They are breaking. We can finish this. The alien armada, sensing the futility of their attack, began to retreat in disorder. Ships that had once moved with deadly precision now fled chaotically. The human fleet pursued strategically, ensuring they cut off escape routes and destroyed key enemy vessels. Carter's voice echoed across the comms. Lyra, your fleet is performing admirably. Hold formation and follow our lead. We pushed them completely out of Kelios. Lyra relayed the order. Allied ships moved with newfound confidence, striking at enemy vessels with coordination they had never achieved before. The humans guided them, teaching them tactics on the fly. And the results were extraordinary. in a daring maneuver. A squadron of human fighters led a feint toward the enemy's flank. The aliens, thinking they had a chance to counterattack, pursued. Instead, they were led into a trap. Hidden Allied ships, previously protected by the asteroid belt, struck from behind. And the alien ships were destroyed or disabled. Lyra could hardly keep up with the rapid developments. Every moment, another alien vessel was destroyed or forced to retreat. The human fleet's precision, strategy, and courage had turned what seemed like a hopeless situation into a stunning victory. Amid the chaos, Carter allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. Humanity had arrived in this distant system at exactly the right time. Their technology and tactics were impressive. But it was the courage and willingness to protect others that had truly made the difference. Humans were not just powerful, they inspired hope, and hope was more contagious than fear. Lyra, witnessing the final moments of the alien retreat, felt a deep sense of gratitude. "Commander Carter," she transmitted, her voice steady but full of emotion. "Your fleet has saved us. We would have fallen without you." Carter's reply was calm, almost modest. "We did what had to be done." "Your fleet fought bravely too, Lyra. You gave us the opportunity to help. Without your courage, this would have been impossible." Even as the last alien vessels fled, the human fleet maintained a vigilant perimeter. Carter knew better than to assume the fight was completely over. But for now, Helios was safe. The Allies had survived against overwhelming odds. Lyra looked around her command chamber. Her crew, exhausted but alive, exchanged looks of relief and triumph. The fear that had gripped them for so long had been replaced with pride and hope. For the first time in days, she allowed herself to smile. "This is what humans are like," she whispered to Vero. "Fearless, smart, and willing to stand for others? I think the galaxy has underestimated them." Vero nodded. "Underestimated, yes, but now they will be remembered." Carter's fleet began organizing the aftermath. Damaged Allied ships were assisted, survivors rescued, and planets that had been threatened were secured. Lyra worked alongside humans, learning their methods and sharing information about the alien fleet. A sense of unity formed between species alliances, strengthened by shared survival and respect for courage. The final act of the battle came when the largest alien cruiser attempted a desperate jump to escape. A human ship, piloted by Lieutenant Rhea, calculated the enemy's trajectory and executed a perfect intercept. She fired a series of precise charges, disabling the cruiser's engines and forcing it to surrender. The aliens, now leaderless and demoralized, had no choice but to retreat. Lyra watched as the last of the alien armada vanished beyond the system. The battle was over. Against impossible odds, the Allies had survived, and it was the humans who had made all the difference. In the quiet that followed, Lyra took a moment to reflect. The Helios system had been saved, but more importantly, she had witnessed something extraordinary. Humans were unlike any species she had ever encountered. They were clever, adaptable, and fearless. And when they chose to fight for others, no force in the galaxy seemed capable of stopping them. Admiral Carter, standing on the bridge of the Valiant, allowed himself a small smile. The battle was over, but the legacy had only begun. Humans had shown the galaxy that they were a force to be reckoned with, not just because of their technology or firepower, but because of their courage, intelligence, and unwavering determination to protect those in need. Lyra transmitted a final message to Carter. "Thank you. You and your fleet have given us more than survival. You've given us hope." Carter's reply was simple. "We do not fight for glory, Lyra. We fight because it is right. Remember that. The universe needs more courage like yours." As the Allied and human fleets regrouped, Helios' suns shone brightly once more. The planets were safe, the civilians protected, and the galaxy had witnessed something it would never forget. The arrival of Earth's most fearsome fleet, and the courage of humans who fought not for themselves alone, but for others. Lyra looked out of her command window, watching the stars. She knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy would face more threats, more battles, more moments when hope seemed lost. But now she also knew the truth. Wherever humans went, wherever courage was needed, they would be there. And the universe would never underestimate them again. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Lyra felt peace. The Allies had survived. The humans had proven themselves. And together, they had shown the galaxy what true bravery looked like. The stars of Kelios twinkled above. Silent witnesses to the courage, TH.